In this training, I'll explain why having a personal brand and developing your messaging is so critical in order to get the attention of recruiters and hiring managers, and even to make your networking more effective. Then I'm going to teach you three of the most common mistakes I see people making when they're talking about themselves and their experience in their job search. And lastly, I'll share with you 8 key elements you need as you develop your personal brand, positioning, and messaging for your job search. Hi, my name is Ava Lala, and I'm a career coach. I work with women who are either navigating career change or aiming for their next promotion. In this training, I'm going to show you the exact framework I teach my clients when we're developing their positioning and brand for their job search. And my clients get so much value from this part of our work together. These are actual client quotes. And the reason why clients find this helpful is because I spent most of my corporate career as a marketer. It was my job to be really good at figuring out how to market and position things. And now I love being able to apply those marketing skills to help you. Okay, so let's dive into the training. The first thing to understand is that the job search is essentially an exercise in marketing and sales. What I mean by that is you are the product. So in marketing terms, that means you have to position yourself for your ideal role and market yourself through your networking conversations, in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, and so on. And then the sales part comes in when you interview. That's when you're selling yourself. But in both of these, the core component is that you need to know and articulate your personal brand and your key differentiators. Here's an analogy. These are all handbags. They essentially do the same thing, right? They hold our stuff. But the Birkin bag that sells for $78,000 is positioned differently than the Kate Spade bag that sells for $200. And that's different from the Nine West bag that you can get at Marshalls for 30 bucks. So how you position yourself and how you convey your brand are so critical. Now, let's get to the top 3 mistakes I see. So the first mistake I see is that people aren't clear about their next role. And so they haven't done a good job of translating how their past experience relates and translates into their target role. Too many people are anchoring themselves on what they've done in the past, when instead you've got to position yourself for the job you want, not the jobs you've had. So you may be spending too much time and energy explaining what you've done in your prior roles and expecting your audience to extract how that relates. When instead you're going to be so much more effective if you do the work for your audience, for that recruiter, for that hiring manager, by being able to translate and show how you're a fit for the job you're targeting. So you need to get clear on the problems you solve for companies and the proof points to show that you've actually done this. In this type of competitive market, people can and expect to get someone who's going to come in and solve a particular problem. So this takes you being really clear and doing the work to understand what matters most in the role that you're targeting, extracting what you've done from your past role that relates, and then being able to explain that clearly and succinctly. So if you're struggling in networking conversations and interviews, part of it is because it's not clear to your audience on how you can add value. And especially if you're making a pivot, you really need to spend some time thinking about how you translate the skills that you've done in your prior roles and how that matches up to the new type of role. Okay, so mistake number 2, you aren't clear on your differentiators. You need to be able to articulate what makes you unique in order to stand out in a competitive market. Think about it. Everybody who goes for an interview has the qualifications. So it's really about how are you going to talk about what separates you from the next candidate. And the beautiful thing is that your collection of past experiences is totally unique to you. And the things that you're really strong at are likely different from somebody else's. But you need to, 1, have a clear understanding of that for yourself, and then 2, be able to articulate it in a very clear and concise way that ties back to the why a company should care and ultimately how it benefits them. And then the last mistake I see is that you're lacking a structure in how you communicate. When you don't have a structure, you overwhelm your audience. You likely tell them too many things. And when you overwhelm and confuse your audience, they walk away not remembering anything. And in a competitive job search environment, you need to be memorable. So, interestingly enough, structure actually gives you more flexibility. Because when you have structure, you have an organized way to layer your stories and your key talking points. You now know how to guide somebody through a conversation and share what's relevant about yourself, depending on how that conversation goes. Okay, so let's talk about what needs to be part of your messaging. These are the key things that you should develop as part of your personal brand. Your positioning statement. This is how would you sum up what you do and the value you bring to the world? What are your top values or the way you show up? Why do you do the work that you do? Why does it matter to you? What role are you targeting? This needs to be clear and specific. Pain points and motivation. Essentially, why does that role matter in the broad scheme of what the company does? What makes you unique and differentiates you? What are the key strengths that you bring? And then what are those proof points that show those skills in action? And then you have to synthesize parts of this so that when you're in networking conversations or interviews, you have a crisp and confident delivery. When I work with clients, we work to answer these questions over time, and then it hangs together in an organized framework that gives you a good roadmap for how to structure your communication. And that means you feel more confident in telling your story. People are clear around how and where you might fit into their organization. Your networking conversations become more useful. This gives you a stronger set of job searching assets like your resume and your LinkedIn. And then you show up to the interview as a stronger candidate, which ultimately means companies want you and are willing to pay top dollar to get you. Okay, so now that you've finished this training, you're in a good place. You know the 3 key mistakes you need to avoid, and I also gave you the key components of what you should have as part of your personal brand. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you this is everything you need to master in your job search. To keep this training short, I didn't cover other important elements like the importance of being super clear in what type of role you're targeting. And especially if you're feeling stuck and not totally clear, this is a big thing to solve for. Where to spend your limited time so you get the biggest impact, how to improve your networking skills to make that more effective for you, how your resume should be structured, how to improve your interviewing skills, and much more. If you don't have this figured out, you're going to be wasting your time, and you will find that your job search is taking you longer. And the last thing I want you to do is spin around and waste time. Too many people come to me after months and sometimes years of wanting a new job. And by then, their confidence is shot because they've had so much rejection and wasted effort. And I know what it feels like to doubt yourself and your abilities, and I don't want that for you. So I'm giving you the opportunity to book a free consultation call with me. In this call, I'll help you diagnose what's going on and what needs to change to get you to your goal. And if I feel like I'm in a position to help you further, then I'll tell you about my coaching program and I'll map out what a customized coaching plan would look like if we were to work together. Here's the URL for you to book that call, and you'll also find it in the summary description of the video below, as well as the button on the screen. Now, I do want to be transparent. My availability is very limited so that I can give the best value on these calls. And that's why I only take a small number of calls each week. So if you are serious about making momentum in your search, then book a call right now. I look forward to meeting with you.